I never thought a cup of coffee could be the beginning of the end. But that's exactly how it started, with a cup of coffee that didn't taste quite right. It was a Thursday. I remember because Thursdays were my favorite. I worked from home, the kids were at school, and Michelle, my wife of 18 years, always made me coffee just the way I liked it, strong, a hint of cinnamon, 1 sugar, and no cream. That day, the taste was off. Bitter. Too bitter. I didn't say anything. At first. But the bitterness stayed on my tongue much longer than it should have. And for the first time in months, I watched Michelle walk away with her back to me and something in me whispered, "Pay attention this time." We'd been together since college. Michelle was charming, radiant, always the social one. She had this laugh that could break tension in any room. I used to love that about her. But something had shifted over the past year. She said she was tired. Said she needed space. Said I was distracted and emotionally unavailable. Maybe I was. I work in infrastructure, 10-hour days, constant alerts, stress. But I thought we were okay. I thought she still loved me. I didn't realize she'd been slowly checking out. 2 weeks before the coffee incident, she asked me for money. Not a small amount either. She wanted $80,000. I blinked. What for? Michelle said she wanted to invest in a wellness spa with a friend. A sure thing, she claimed. A real opportunity to finally build something of her own. Now, I'm not a fool. Eve managed money my entire life, paid off our house, built savings from scratch. We're not billionaires, but we're comfortable. Still, $80,000 isn't pocket change, and her business plan? Barely a paragraph, and her friend was someone I'd never even heard of. I told her no. Not out of spite, out of logic. I even offered to help her build a proper proposal, maybe start smaller, maybe research the market. But she got defensive. Cold. The way she looked at me, like I was the enemy. The night after that argument, she didn't come to bed. Said she had a migraine. I found her asleep on the couch when I woke up. Or at least pretending to sleep. The next few days, things got weirder. She started hiding her phone. Taking calls outside. Smiling a little too hard at texts she wouldn't explain. I caught her whispering once, something like, "No, not yet. I have to wait, hell cave eventually." She swore it was her sister. But Eve met her sister. They hate each other. So back to that Thursday morning. The coffee. I sat in the kitchen longer than I needed to. Pretending to scroll on my phone, but really just thinking. What was she planning? Why did she look relieved when I drank the whole mug? Why did she kiss my forehead like she was saying goodbye? I didn't feel sick. Not yet. But I decided right then, I needed to stop pretending everything was fine. I called in sick to work. Then I did something I hadn't done in years, I went through her purse. It felt wrong. I hated doing it. But something inside me told me the truth wasn't going to just fall into my lap. Inside, I found a burner phone. One of those cheap, prepaid kinds. There were only a few texts on it. But one of them changed everything. He drank it. Now we wait. If he signs the papers, it's yours. I froze. What papers? And who was she talking to? I copied the number and ran it through a few of my work contacts, people in cybersecurity who owed me favors. While I waited, I went upstairs. Michelle was in the shower, humming. Like nothing was wrong. And I stood there. Just listening. Trying to figure out how the woman I married became a stranger with a plan I didn't understand. By that afternoon, I had the name linked to the burner number. It was Gavin. And when I saw the last name, my blood went cold. Gavin Carter. My childhood best friend. The guy I hadn't seen in years, not since I caught him flirting with Michelle at our wedding reception. The guy I thought I'd cut out of my life for good. Apparently, she never did. That night, I pretended everything was normal. We had dinner. We laughed about a show we used to love. She even suggested a glass of wine. But I wasn't drinking anything she gave me anymore. I waited until she went to bed. Then I opened her laptop. She was lazy with her passwords, still used our anniversary for most things. And what I found was worse than I imagined. Emails. Dozens. Michelle and Gavin had been in touch for over a year. He moved back to town 5 months ago. They met for coffee every week, the irony wasn't lost on me. But it wasn't just cheating. It was planning. They wanted me gone. They wanted my assets. They wanted the house. And Gavin? He was going to replace me. Step in. Be the new husband, the new father. They even had a schedule. Michelle had marked a date, July 15th, D-Day. That was in 2 weeks. I sat there, heart pounding, my world unraveling. But I didn't scream. I didn't confront her. Because now I had something they didn't expect, awareness. And I was going to use every minute of those 2 weeks to turn the game around. That night, I barely slept. Lying beside Michelle, the woman I thought I knew, while her phone buzzed silently on the nightstand, just inches from my hand. I could hear her breathing. Calm. Peaceful. Like she didn't just poison her husband's coffee that morning. Yes. By then I was sure. There was something in that cup. Maybe not lethal. But enough to cloud my mind, to make me weak, compliant. And they were counting on me staying quiet. Staying numb. They had no idea I'd already started to wake up. The next morning, I smiled. I kissed her forehead. Said the coffee tasted better today. I told her I was heading into the office, finally feeling better. She looked relieved. Too relieved. Great, she said. You've been so stressed lately. Maybe work will take your mind off things. I nodded, grabbed my briefcase, and instead of going to work, I drove across town to someone who owed me a very specific kind of favor. I met Leah 4 years ago. She was a private investigator, sharp, cold, efficient. She helped me once when an ex-employee tried to sabotage a client's network. Let's just say she had a way of uncovering what people didn't want seen. When I told her what I'd found, the texts, the burner phone, the D-Day marked on Michelle's calendar, she didn't ask questions. She just said, "You want confirmation or revenge?" I said, "Both." Leah got to work immediately. In less than 48 hours, I had photos of Michelle and Gavin together. Meeting in parking lots. Driving off together. Even having lunch at a hotel bar, the kind with discreet entrances and exits. But it didn't stop there. Leah also traced Gavin's finances. He was broke. No job. No savings. Just a string of bounced checks, loan rejections, and an outstanding debt to a man in Atlanta you really don't want to owe money to. So that was the real plan. Michelle wasn't just cheating. She was aligning herself with someone desperate. Someone who needed fast money. And I was the meal ticket. Now here's the part that still makes me sick, they'd been slowly moving my money. Michelle had access to our joint accounts, which I never questioned because she handled the day-to-day bills. But over the last 4 months, she had quietly transferred nearly $40,000 to a new business account, under Gavin's name. When I confronted the bank, they said she had my digital authorization. She didn't. But someone had used a deepfake signature. They were good. Not professional hacker good, but good enough to fool standard checks. That night, I cooked dinner. Steak. Her favorite. We sat at the table like a normal couple. Talked about the kids. She asked if I'd reconsidered her spa idea. Maybe, I said. Her eyes lit up. I just feel like this could finally be something for me, she said. I've given so much to this family, I just want something that's mine. I nodded. Of course. You deserve that. I smiled. She smiled. And in my head, I was already rewriting my will. Over the next week, I played the part perfectly. I worked late, giving her time to meet Gavin. I forgot to lock my phone, let her glance at fake emails about stress, burnout, even therapy. I let her think I was unraveling. Let her believe I was slipping. In reality, I was documenting everything. Recording her calls. Installing keystroke trackers. Capturing her login attempts. Michelle had no idea I was building a legal fortress, and a personal war chest. Then came the Friday before July 15th. She was unusually affectionate. Woke me up with breakfast in bed. Wore that dress I hadn't seen in 2 years. Even lit candles during dinner. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I checked her phone location after she went for a walk. She wasn't walking. She was at Gavin's apartment. Again. That night, while she was sleeping, I took everything I'd collected and sent copies to 3 people. 1. My lawyer, with instructions to begin divorce proceedings on July 16 at 9 a.m. sharp. 2. A financial investigator, with orders to freeze all outgoing transfers from our account starting immediately. 3. Myself, on a private, cloud-protected drive I could access from anywhere. And then I did one last thing, I scheduled a series of emails. Timed. 1 to Michelle. 1 to Gavin. And 1 to our kids, in case anything happened to me. I woke up on the morning of July 15th calm. Michelle was smiling. Glowing. I feel like everything's finally falling into place, she said. I nodded. It is. At noon, she asked me to meet her at a surprise location. She said she wanted to show me something beautiful, a new chapter. I played dumb. Can't wait. She blindfolded me in the car. I didn't resist. She drove for 20 minutes. When we stopped, she took my hand and led me inside. I could hear Gavin's voice before the blindfold came off. Hey, man. Long time. I slowly removed the cloth. We were in a loft. Unfurnished. Exposed brick. There were champagne flutes on the counter. Michelle clapped her hands. Surprise. This is the new spa space. Isn't it perfect? I looked around. Yeah. Perfect. Gavin smirked. Glad you came around. I know you were skeptical. I turned to Michelle. And you trust him? She blinked. Of course. I love him. Silence. And that was it. She said it, finally. I just nodded. Well, I said, then I hope the 2 of you enjoy it. Michelle frowned. Wait, what does that mean? I smiled calmly. Check your email. Gavin pulled out his phone. Michelle did the same. Her face dropped. His turned red. Gavin looked at me. What the hell is this? It's evidence, I said. Of everything. Sent to my lawyer, the bank, and the IRS. Michelle's voice cracked. You're bluffing. I'm not, I said. And one more thing, that business account. It's frozen. Effective this morning. They both shouted. Tried to spin. Tried to guilt me. Michelle even tried to cry. I just walked out. I didn't scream. Didn't hit anyone. Didn't say another word. I let them stand in the ruins they built together. But the story isn't over. Because what Michelle did next I never could have predicted. You'd think catching them red-handed, freezing the accounts, and walking out would have been the end. I thought so too. But I underestimated Michelle. When you corner someone who spent years lying, manipulating, and building a fantasy world with a backup man, they don't go down quietly. They come back swinging. And sometimes they stop pretending to be good at all. The day after the confrontation, I moved into a small rental unit downtown. No frills, just a bed, a desk, and a couch. But it was quiet. Peaceful. That first night, I actually slept. No fake affection. No strange coffee. No forced conversations at the dinner table. Just me and the dull hum of a refrigerator. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was being watched. But peace didn't last long. By 7 a.m. the next morning, I got a call from my lawyer. Michelle is trying to freeze your personal accounts, he said. She's claiming you're hiding marital assets. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so perfectly Michelle. She went from your paranoid to give me everything in 24 hours. But I was ready. The same digital trail she and Gavin left while stealing from me was now being used to dismantle her credibility. Every unauthorized transfer. Every email she sent about the plan. Even the recording Leah captured of Michelle saying, if he signs the papers, it's yours. It was all in motion now. Still, I braced myself, because Michelle wasn't just out for money. She wanted my reputation. And she was willing to destroy everything, even herself, to get it. That afternoon, the first shot landed. An email blast, sent to my boss, my coworkers, and even some of our clients. Subject line, you should know who you're working with. Inside, a fabricated story that I was emotionally abusive. That I was hiding financial fraud. That ID pressured her into staying silent for years. She attached fake screenshots, doctored text messages, and even a voice recording of me yelling. I knew the recording wasn't real, it was a deep fake, probably generated with one of those cheap AI voice apps. But the damage? It was instant. My phone lit up. Calls from HR. Emails from clients asking if I was okay. My boss called me directly, his voice grave. I'm not saying we believe her, he said, but we have to investigate. You're on paid leave, effective immediately. Just like that, 16 years of building trust paused. Because of her. Because I walked away instead of letting her ruin me slowly. Now, I don't break easily. But I'll admit, that day broke me a little. I sat on the floor of that rented apartment staring at nothing. I'd done everything right. I stayed loyal. I worked hard. I protected our family. And this is what I got. Character assassination. Career damage. A wife in bed with my childhood best friend, and a plan to erase me from my own life. But when the world feels like it's crumbling, you have two choices, crawl, or fight. So I stood up. And I fought. The first thing I did was hire a forensic expert. A guy Leah recommended. He specialized in exposing digital manipulation, audio editing, fake screenshots, metadata analysis. Within 2 days, he had a full report. The audio file Michelle sent was stitched together. The texts were edited. The timestamps didn't match real phone activity. We sent that report to my company. To every client. To everyone who got her little smear campaign. I attached a short note, this was meant to destroy me. I'll let the evidence speak instead. Next came the restraining order. Not for violence. For defamation, fraud, and attempted digital sabotage. The court took it seriously. By that Friday, Michelle had to appear before a judge. She wore white. Spoke softly. Played the victim. But I had proof. A binder full of it. Emails. Transactions. Video footage. Her voice, her words, her timeline falling apart under scrutiny. The judge looked at her. Then at me. Then said something you'll never forget, ma'am, if you continue down this path, you may not just lose this case. You may lose custody. Yes. Custody. Because while Michelle was busy burning down the house, I was quietly building another case, one she never saw coming. Our kids were teenagers. Old enough to see through some of her behavior. They weren't stupid. When they asked why I left, I didn't lie, but I didn't insult her either. I just told them, I'm giving your mother space right now. But I'll always be here if you need me. Michelle, on the other hand. She told them I abandoned the family. That I was unstable. That I didn't care. Big mistake. My daughter, 15, called me one night in tears. She said you were dangerous, she whispered. But you're not. I know you're not. That call gave me strength I didn't know I had. Over the next 2 weeks, I documented every interaction. Every lie. Every manipulation. And my lawyer began assembling the one thing Michelle truly feared, a petition for full custody. Meanwhile, Gavin. He disappeared. Gone. I checked. No one's seen him since the morning of the confrontation. Leah found out he took a bus out of state. Apparently, once he realized Michelle had no real control over the money, and no plan beyond ruin her husband, he bailed. Left her holding the matches and the burning house. Michelle called me drunk one night. You ruined everything, she slurred. I didn't respond. She screamed. Cried. Begged. I hung up. Let me be clear, I never wanted revenge. I just wanted my life back. My peace. My dignity. But Michelle kept pushing, kept escalating, until she had no ground left to stand on. And then came the moment I never expected. The moment I actually started to forgive her. Not because she deserved it. But because I needed to move on. And that forgiveness? It was the final weapon she never saw coming. Forgiveness isn't something you announce. It's not an Instagram quote. It's not a speech. It's a decision, quiet, internal, and hard. And in my case, it didn't come from mercy. It came from exhaustion. I was tired of hating her. Tired of scanning every email for sabotage. Tired of wondering what Michelle might do next. So, one morning, I looked at myself in the mirror, the real me, not the beaten-down version she tried to create, and I said, "You're done surviving. It's time to rebuild." But Michelle wasn't done. Not yet. It started with a delivery. A single white envelope left at my apartment door. No return address. No stamps. Just slid under quietly. Inside, a flash drive. There was only one file on it. A video. My hands shook as I plugged it in. It was footage, of me. Me, sitting in a CAF a week ago. Talking to Leah. From the angle, it was clear, someone had been watching. The audio was grainy, but our voices were clear enough. Michelle had followed me. Recorded me. And now she was threatening to expose my covert activity. I should have been angry. But all I felt was pity. She was grasping at straws now. Trying to twist reality into something useful. But I knew what she wanted. She didn't care about the footage. She wanted to control the narrative. That afternoon, my lawyer received a notice. Michelle was suing for emotional damages. She claimed ID hired a spy to intimidate her. That ID weaponized the legal system to silence her voice. That my surveillance tactics caused her severe distress. It was laughable. Except it wasn't, not to the court. We had to appear again. This time, in front of a different judge. In court, Michelle wept. Told stories of fear, anxiety, isolation. She even claimed I had bugged our kids' phones, something I never even considered. But then the truth came out. Because we subpoenaed her laptop. And guess what? She had an entire folder titled Insurance. Inside, recordings, screenshots, edited documents, even a fake diary written as if it had been kept for years. Every lie she'd told she had rehearsed. The judge wasn't amused. This is the most elaborate manipulation I've seen in 20 years, he said. Michelle's expression didn't change. She looked down, blinked twice, and whispered, "I was protecting myself." That's when I saw it, the mask truly fall. Not the Michelle I married. Not the woman ID once laughed with under Christmas lights, or watched give birth to our children. No. This was someone else. Cold. Calculated. Convinced her story was more real than reality itself. The court dismissed her claim. Declared the footage she'd sent to my apartment inadmissible. And formally warned her that any future false claims could result in criminal charges. Still she didn't stop. Because she wasn't fighting for money anymore. She was fighting for control. A few days later, my daughter called again. "Dad, she's saying you're taking us away." I felt the lump in my throat. "I'm not taking you anywhere," I said gently. "You're not property. You're people. I just want what's best for you." She was silent. Then she whispered, "We know. We talk, you know me and Max. We see what's happening." That broke me. Not in a bad way, but in a human way. Because for months, I thought I was losing everything. But I wasn't. I still had the two people that mattered most. Then Michelle crossed a final line. She sent a letter, to my parents. Told them I was spiraling, unwell, borderline violent. She included a list of incidents, all fabricated, and suggested that if they loved me, they'd stage an intervention. My mom called me sobbing. My dad wanted to drive down that night. And that's when I snapped. I met Michelle in public. Neutral ground. A quiet bench near the courthouse. She looked thinner. Pale. She smiled like nothing was wrong. "I hear you've been busy," I said. She tilted her head. "I've just been trying to protect my family." "You destroyed it," I said plainly. She blinked. "You pushed me." And there it was again, the deflection, the spin, the refusal to own even one shard of the wreckage. I stood up. Calm. Steady. "I'm done, Michelle. This is the last time we speak face to face. The lawyers will handle everything. The kids will decide what they want. You are not my responsibility anymore." She stood too. "You'll regret this." "No," I said. "I regret staying this long." And I walked away. That was 2 months ago. Since then, the divorce finalized. I was granted full custody, Michelle was given supervised visitation every other weekend. The restraining order remains in place. And my job? Fully reinstated. With back pay. The truth came out. And no matter how loud Michelle screamed, truth is louder. But there's one more chapter. Because even when the war ends, you still live with the scars. And what Michelle tried to do next? It nearly pushed me over the edge, again. My house was quiet. Too quiet. After everything that had happened, you'd think peace would feel like relief, but all I felt was an eerie emptiness. A silence that screamed with everything unspoken, everything I had once ignored. Sitting on the edge of the bed, I stared at the same phone that had shattered my illusion just days ago. Tanya had moved out. Her things were gone. She hadn't begged or cried. She knew she'd been caught and that there was no way back. What was left between us had been artificial for far too long. But I wasn't done. Not yet. Because there was still the matter of her friend Roman. And I had plans. I met Roman one last time, under the pretense of talking man to man. We met in a public CAF. He walked in, all swagger and fake humility, as if I was just another clueless husband he could play around. I never meant for it to get this far, he started. Things just happened. I laughed. You mean things just happened for 5 years? That kind of accident? His face flushed slightly. I get it. She's beautiful. She's persuasive. But you weren't some innocent pawn. You played the game. He didn't deny it. So I leaned forward and dropped the real bomb. I recorded everything. His face froze. What? I had audio from the night she confessed. Video from our home cameras. Texts, screenshots. Everything. What the hell are you planning to do? I'm not a violent man, Roman. But you'll do exactly what I say, or I release it all to your wife. To your kids. To your boss. He blinked, suddenly not so smug. I slid a printed copy of the evidence across the table. Just enough to scare him. Not the originals, of course, those were safe with my lawyer. I want you to disappear from our lives. No contact with Tanya again. Ever. Or I unleash all of it. He said nothing for a long time. Then he nodded. Okay. I didn't trust him. But I knew fear would do the job. And it did. 3 weeks later, Tanya tried to reach out again. Not to get back together, but to apologize. She sent a long email, pouring out guilt, shame, regret. She said she never thought I'd find out. That she was sorry for making me feel small, invisible, worthless. That maybe, in some twisted way, she had always loved me, but had been addicted to the thrill of her secret life. I didn't reply. I read the message only once. Then deleted it. Because no apology could unmake the choices. No words could fix what was shattered for so long. It's been a year now. And I'm healing. Not because she left. But because I chose to rebuild myself. I started therapy. I reconnected with old friends. I traveled solo for the first time in years. I even took up photography, something I'd always wanted but never pursued, because she thought it was a silly hobby. I see the world more clearly now. Not just through the lens of a camera, but through the lens of experience. Pain changes you, yes, but it can also refine you. Sometimes, we cling to people because we fear loneliness. But the real tragedy is staying in a relationship that makes you feel more alone than being by yourself ever could. So, to the viewers, have you ever suspected your partner was hiding something? What was the moment you realized your trust had been broken, and what did you do afterward? Let me know in the comments. Your stories matter, too.